Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Voltron Legendary Defender, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Andy Potter.
Hey.
And Steve Zec.
Hey.
Today, Andy, Steve, and I will be wrapping up our Season 3 coverage of Voltron Legendary Defender here at the Overly Animated Podcast. You can check out all of our previous Voltron Season 3 podcasts at overlyanimated.com. Subscribe to our Voltron-only iTunes feed or our general iTunes feed at overlyanimated.com/iTunes. We've done all the episode discussions, and now we're going to talk about the season as a whole and get some new opinions here from Andy and Steve on various hot topics surrounding the season, how it was overall, and some big theory discussions, including this hot Shiro topic, Shiro theories topic, and potentially some other theory stuff as well. So let's get into this discussion by getting your guys' opinions on what you thought of Season 3 of Voltron as a whole. Andy, what do you think?
I thought the season was really good. I think this was the most consistent season of the three that we've had. It was a little shorter, so that helped it stay consistent, but it still just was really good. Every episode I was, except for one, I'm forgetting the names. The names of episodes are hard for me sometimes in this show, but they were all really consistent, really good, really fun. There's a lot of tension, and Lotor's really a great villain. He's a lot more cool than Zarkon. And we finally have Allura being one of the paladins, which is something we've been asking for 2 seasons, which is great. And even there's some clans happening, which would be incredible if it actually reached fruition.
Yeah. Oh, all things we'll get into here. We'll be hopefully taking a deeper dive into clans here. Steve, what do you think of Season 3 overall?
I loved it. It's a vast improvement over Season 2. I tell you, the villains definitely much more exciting. Lotar and his team, vast improvement over Zarkon and his minions, his soldiers of the week. And I'm happy Allura gets to be a paladin. I'm getting her chance there. Though, like I said, we always had a girl as one of them. Pidge, but sometimes Witch Haggard, she's a little more interesting this season. What we discovered about her, I always liked her, but she's definitely much more interesting than she was the first 2 seasons. The whole mystery of Shiro, I still don't know what happened to him, and clans, yeah, that might be canon. I do have some new ships of my own I would like to talk about, but. Yeah, it could go, man. It could sail. You never know.
Okay, we'll get into that later. Yeah, more shipping discussions. So, I think and as I've said in previous podcasts, definitely think Season 3 is the best season overall of Voltron. But one thing of note is that this is Season 3, but really we're only getting half of Season 3 here because Netflix/DreamWorks decided to break up the season into 2. We got 7 episodes here, and then in October we'll get the remaining 6 of what would have traditionally been a 13 episode season of Voltron. They said that this is so that they could get the episodes out faster. Potentially they're not done with maybe the finale of the season until October, so they would have had to delay it until October. Andy, for you, did this new season structure of just releasing half of the season here work?
Yeah, I really liked this. I liked the fact, I think it's a lot more palatable knowing that we're getting the next half really soon, just a couple months out. But it's kind of funny because we switched to the streaming format because people liked it more, but then people also didn't want to wait a full year for the next season, so they're splitting it up, which is kind of going backwards back to the weekly structure. I find it kind of funny just what's going on here, but I do like this. This seems like a happy medium for me. Maybe there's some more tinkering they can do with the structure, but so far I like it. As long as season quote unquote 4 pays off from what we saw in Season 3, I really enjoy this.
Okay. A good positive reaction there. Steve, what about you? What did you think of just dropping the first 7 episodes here?
I thought it was all right. I agree with you, Dylan. I don't really consider Season 4. I consider that Season 3 Part 2. It's I'd say much easier for us to podcast on it, just 7 episodes instead of 13. it really kind of made no difference to me because I just, watched them as quickly as I could anyway. And though I did, just to follow you guys, I watched 2 episodes at a time. And then I took a pause, put some theories out, thought of stuff, and then watched 2 more at a time, just for you guys, so I could have the mindset.
Oh yeah, the overly animated podcasting experience of going slowly through the Netflix season. Yeah,
yeah,
it's painful.
Yeah. I think, as I've said before, what Steve echoed here, the thing that's wrong with this is calling the October episode season 4 when it's just not. I think it's going to put audience expectations in a place where they shouldn't be. Like, this is the second half of season 3. It's not season 4. So just don't call it season 4. It's kind of deceitful. Yeah, I don't I don't know why you need to do that for marketing. I guess marketing purposes, it sounds better, but, I think overall though, dropping half the season, I think works. And I think that Netflix should not be beholden to just dropping seasons at once. If it works better for a certain show, just drop a group of episodes. Like maybe for a certain show, you just want to put out 2 episodes a month. Like, Netflix could just do that. And I think that maybe Voltron would pave the way for more structures like that. There's no reason that they need to be so beholden to this season by season structure. And that's the reason that they label it season 4 is because they feel so beholden to this. It's like everyone expects new seasons from us, but, just this last 6 episodes being a new season, the concept of that don't like, but I do like, especially for animation. I think it potentially makes sense because animation post-production can take so long. I think it makes sense to not wait for the entire season to be out and gradually release episodes as we course correct here, like kind of like Andy was referring to with this Netflix model. Eventually maybe we'll revert back to the broadcast model, and as like broadcast and cable TV are trending more towards Netflix now with like Cartoon Network starting to dump a bunch of episodes online, maybe we're switching places here, but just the first step here with Voltron.
Yeah, it's Steven Universe all over again with the season structure. And don't get me started on Netflix. I do have kind of something I want to talk about Netflix when we do our next podcast. You know, the one we're talking about. But I tell you this though, what they do though in anime though in Netflix, I want to talk about slightly off topic though. It's kind of bringing piracy back. Some streaming sites, you have some newer streaming sites kind of put piracy a thing of a past, but the way Netflix is doing it, piracy is back. Sadly.
What do you mean piracy is back?
Oh, I mean, like, for example, like Little Witch Academia. You had you have sites like Crunchyroll. When animes air the day of, they put them on their site, and people can watch them legally weekly.
So if Netflix holds on to it too long, it incentivizes people to watch it illegally. Yeah,
yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and with Little Witch Academia, Netflix is calling the second half group season 2 on their site.
Yeah,
which isn't true. Like it's just not season 2.
No, but like I said, I watched the show weekly in Japan. A lot of people did because and I had the fun of actually having to watch an episode and then just to theorize what's going to happen next week. And I sadly, with the way Netflix are doing shows like with Voltron, we kind of lose that a bit. But I understand, like, it's good and bad. Some people prefer it that way, because it's give and take. It's no perfect system.
Yeah,
but
that's
part of the reason why I like this split season thing, because it kind of brings back that old. And this kind of gets into something we might talk about later. Is that it kind of feels like watching Avatar again, because we get to this mid-season finale and we're like, where's this leading? What's Lotor going to do with the comet? What's going on with the Lions? What's going on with Shiro? And it leaves us off at this perfect point that is where we can just theorize and have all these we have no idea what's going to happen next. And I really like that, because not every episode is going to have a bunch of stuff we can theorize about, but definitely these 7 episodes leads to a lot of stuff we can guess and think about for the future. And I really like that about this half drop, because now we're prepared for these next 6 episodes, which are just going to end the season, and we're going to be surprised and shocked and hopefully excited if we predict things correctly sometimes. And that's going to be really fun. I'm excited for that.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I will say that this releasing the first 7 structure is probably directly leading to our next topic here. Like, I don't know if this would have been a thing we would have any time to speculate on, unless we had this gap. So I think that it's successful in that it's inspiring a lot of fan discussion. And speaking of which, this is something that I think probably is going to get paid off in these next 6 episodes. What's up with Shiro? Agree that this will be paid off in the next 6 episodes?
It has to be.
Yeah. I think probably. Maybe we could be, depending on what the answer is, it could be more of a long-term plot, but anyway. So Shiro randomly returns in episode 5 of the season, and a lot of people think something's up, and, that this is, not everything what it seems to be with Shiro. Even though the show, for the most part, was basically presenting it as played for straight what it was, just Shiro on a ship showing up. The only thing that was like built into the actual dialogue out of the ordinary was like when he's escaping from the ship, they say they're like executing some sort of plan. So it kind of seems like him escaping was intended. That's kind of the impression you get from one line there. But other than that, you could make an interpretation here that everything's okay. So let me present each of you with 5 options. On 5 options, a lot going on here with what's up with Shiro, and you tell me which is true. Option number 1, everything's fine. Okay. Shiro's fine.
No.
This is normal Shiro. No, don't say yes or no as we go. I'll go. I know, everyone who's listening
Steve
also.
is quick to the draw. Quick to the draw.
Steve is everyone who's listening there. Everyone's like, no, it's not. Something's up with Shiro. But no, everything's fine with Shiro. Everything's normal. Number 2 is Shiro is, this Shiro is a clone, and our Shiro is still missing. Number 3 is this Shiro is a clone or ordinary, and our Shiro was a clone. Maybe this is original Shiro and this is like real Shiro, and our Shiro from seasons 1 and 2 was a clone. That's number 3. Number 4 is that this Shiro is a sleeper agent. They wanted him to escape because they've injected him with something that will make him like them be able to control him, or he will turn on the paladins like the Galrins are, and probably Lotor are, have something in there that will control him. Or number 5, other, insert your, is it not one of these, but something else is up with Shiro? So, Andy, what's the answer?
I think it's clone or some version of that, because
Which clone?
The number 2 option,
okay,
where he's just a clone. The one we're seeing now is the clone. And I include in there, like, if he's from another reality or something, I think that's the same as him being a clone.
Okay, that'll be, should that be separate, or
I think that's, it acts as the same thing, though. I think in it might be a different reasoning, but it acts as the same plot points if he's just from a different reality, I think. Unless we find out that the Galrins have this technology and they've been cloning everybody.
Yeah, okay.
Unless it affects other clones, then that's a different thing.
We'll put that in there with number 2. Okay, so why?
Because this Shiro is acting just a little bit differently than the Shiro we saw in season 1 and 2. And sometimes it's really little things, but sometimes it's very different. Like in the battle with, in Tailing the Comet, I think the name was, at the end, where he kept egging Keith on to do things that I really don't think Shiro would have done in his position in many ways, because he's usually a lot more conservative. He really wants to make sure everyone's safe. But he kept swapping back and forth between these really risky plans for Keith to do. And I don't think that's something Shiro would do, but it's something that maybe a clone imprinted with Shiro's memories might think Shiro would do in those situations. Because from the outside, the result was the same Voltron we've seen. Does that make sense? Like, an outside observer would see Voltron doing the same thing despite the instructions being slightly different.
Interesting. Okay.
But
yeah, I think we can once we get both of your takes, we can debate this. Steve, which of the 5 are you on here?
I'm number 4. I'll go for the simplest.
Which one was 4?
It's a real Shiro, but he's a sleeper spy. They did something to his head because he complains about headaches at one point. So I think they did something to him, and though I disagree, though, it's like Lotar had anything to do with this. I think this is a Hager project. That's what I think. And I don't know though how Shiro got to where he disappeared in season 2 and got there. I don't know. Did they capture him or something? I that's still up in the air, but I just think he's just been brainwashed. He's a sleeper spy. I think that's the easiest explanation. Besides, of course, everything's okay.
Yeah.
But you bring up the biggest reason for why it's a clone, because they cut off his arm. They have his DNA. It's like Young Justice all over again. They made a clone from his arm.
Yeah.
And
well, that's like a possibility, though, right?
yeah,
like
but
they're
I mean,
capable of it.
How they get the actual Shiro onto a ship? That's my confusion. Like, how'd they get him?
One other possibility though is like the Shiro from the beginning of the series is a clone. This Shiro is a clone. We've never met original Shiro. Original Shiro died before the series even began.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. Steve, what do you think of Andy's? One of his biggest evidence here was his Shiro's behavior at the end of tailing a comet. Do you think the sleeper cell theory could like account for that?
I don't know. I remember. What happened there? I remember him like he was the one who's telling. Was he telling Keith to do more reckless stuff?
In summary, yeah, he was telling him to. He was giving him really big decisions that he had to choose one thing or the other and nothing else. It was only black and white.
Yeah, maybe
stuff
so.
like that.
It probably does. Because I don't think the real Shiro would do that, or at least the Shiro we knew from season 1 and 2. Yeah, let me just say, let's not call him our Shiro the real Shiro, because we don't know. This is
That's true.
Season 1,
season 1 and 2 Shiro. Yeah, maybe we're gonna get super convoluted and have 3 Shiros.
This is Shiro, for simplicity's sake, this is Shiro 2, and the Shiro we had in seasons 1 and 2 is Shiro 1.
I'm already feeling this is Rick and Morty right now.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is Shiro D135, yeah.
No.
Andy, here's my question on the clone theory. Isn't it just so dark if this is just our Shiro, this is just a clone, it's not real Shiro's dead. Like, are we bringing back real Shiro at some point? Because this feels like a real big emotional blow to all the Paladins.
I think that they can spin it, the writers can spin it in a way that doesn't go as dark as they need, as we would view it from our position with the detail we go into these things. But I think they can spin it in a way that's a little less dark, that still impacts the Paladins in a very emotional way. Like, I don't think they're going to go into the fact that the real Shiro has been dead if this is a clone. I don't think they're going to go into the Paladins already knew that. They already talked about that at the beginning of the season. I don't think they're going to go into how exactly they gathered DNA and grew this clone.
Are we just going to accept this as new Shiro now? Is that going to be a plot arc? Is just grow to, this is not the original one, but grow to accept him as a friend?
I think if he's a clone, there will be a thread like that, or it'll be like, I forget who posed it on a previous podcast. He will pilot Dark Voltron or whatever like that.
I think wouldn't he have to be a villain then, or would they commandeer Dark?
I think the more we talk about it, I think that there's a combination of theories here. I think he might be a sleeper agent clone, and they might be able to turn him on and turn him into a villain and take control of stuff. But that's getting even deeper than we need to go. But I think that we're gonna have to fight Shiro, whatever this is. If he's a clone or sleeper agent, we're gonna have to fight him at some point.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we're fighting him no matter what. But there's a lot of theories that account for that. Yes, Steve.
Yeah, I think though, if we're getting redemption for this fake Shiro, I don't see a happy ending. Him living happily ever after. I see his ultimate redemption will be death.
Yeah.
He
has to sacrifice himself. Yeah. I don't know if I buy, though. We can spin this in a not depressing way. Like Keith in this beginning of the season, super depressed. Shiro's dead. Then no, Shiro's back. Yay. Now, oh no, this is a clone and he betrays us. Keith's just gonna be incredibly depressed and develop a drinking problem. And that's gonna be what?
And only Lance can help him.
Or what? That's way darker than anything that's ever happened on the show. That's I guess the clone thing, I agree, makes more sense logically in terms of what we've seen from the plot. It's just are really gonna rip Shiro away from the Paladins? It seems cruel.
I think if we view this as a season of Avatar, and you ask me the question of whether they'd rip one of the main characters away just to give a blow to to Korra or Aang, I would have definitely said yes. So I think I would say yes to this as well.
I don't know, whatever on Avatar was this dark,
Jet.
Think like the end
Yeah,
of season
kinda.
2. Think like the end of season 2, Dylan. That was a heavy blow to everyone involved. I don't think
That was like the darkest
pulling
Avatar
Shiro-
was, and it was like Aang died and immediately came back to life. Like,
But I think pulling Shiro away and turning him into a villain is a perfect dark ending to this season that isn't too dark. I think I disagree with you that it would be as dark as you're saying. I think that Keith and Lance and all the Paladins will keep going, and it'll just motivate them further. I don't think it'll be as dark as you think it will be.
so Andy, your best friend dies, and then you think he's back to life, and he's your friend again, and then no, that was an evil clone, and he's trying to kill you, and your friend's still dead.
They might not find out he's a clone till later.
Like, it's, I feel like this is so dark. Oh my god. I don't know. That's the part I can't get past with the clone thing.
I think this might be. With you saying it, would you think it'd be less dark if he's a sleeper agent, if they completely like take over his mind?
Yeah, because he's still Shiro somewhere underneath, you know.
I just thought of something though. Discovering Shiro's a clone, I think we might need like addition to the team, someone who doesn't have an emotional attachment to Shiro to figure this out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We need Slav back, obviously.
Yeah. What I'm thinking about is perhaps one of Lotar's generals might defect. I think I know the most likely one. I think we all agree the most likely one. And that person would be like, because Driver Red's like, they're saying, "Oh, that's a real Shiro. You're an enemy before. I don't trust you. You're a liar." Like Keith could say that or something.
Look, just because Ty Lee defected doesn't mean new Ty Lee is gonna defect.
No, I didn't say her.
I think you meant her.
I
think
the one that failed her mission. And I have a theory what Lotar's going to do to her next, but you want to talk about that later, or you want me to say it now? What my theory is?
So, are we talking about the one who we learned was
the blue one, the leader,
the one from the
the one who's in the Weblum, yeah.
Yeah, let's see her name here, Aksa.
Aksa, yeah.
Yeah. I think what Lotar's going to do. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic here. You still want me to say what?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Lotar's what he's going to do is he's going to send her on a suicide mission. And she's probably not going to know it. That's going to be his way of failure, his way to punish her, but also achieve some goal. He's going to use her to achieve some goal. I'm thinking maybe he's going to have her intentionally be captured, and have some little bomb or something implanted in her so she can just blow up Voltron, blow up everybody, and then our heroes will fucking talk her out of it and whatnot, and then she'll kind of become an ally, and then she'll notice some weird news about Shiro, and then we'll sort of find out. That's.
Can I just say Steve's theory is much darker than mine, Dylan?
Yeah, it's I'm gonna skeptical of all this dark stuff, but maybe I don't know. Maybe we're just turning this into an adult show now. Maybe that's what's happening.
I'm on board for everything Steve said, actually, except for the implanting the bomb in her part. That seemed a little excessive.
Yeah, are we 999 now? Like, what are we doing? I'm on Aksa. Yeah, aren't we shipping her with Lotor? Like, how is she defecting? Isn't she the Lotor ship?
Oh, I don't know. I tell you, I'm shipping her with Izor, the Ty Lee one. That's my ship.
Okay,
that's the new ship I talked about on the Patreon Facebook.
I mean, I like that. Yeah,
they're like the Team Lotar's version of Clans because they're so opposite.
They are.
I feel like Andy, are you feeling any Lotor Aksa?
No, I'm feeling none of that.
Why?
I hope they.
Why not?
Well, I mean, we haven't really seen much of them together. They could have something going on, but just from the little we've seen, I'm not feeling any spark there. But
Lotor plus his the bad guy plus his number one general. It's the classic group.
I know that, but I mean, we haven't really seen them converse in some way that isn't just ordering.
Just haven't seen any of her. I don't know how we're.
Yeah,
I can't comment on any theories involving her because we've seen so little, or any of the generals. I love getting on the Lotor's generals topic. I love the characterization of them in episodes 1, 2, and 6 here, but in general, we really just saw. I mean, were they even in episode 1? I guess at the end, mostly just 2 and 6. We really just saw nothing from them for most of the season. So that's one thing I'm really expecting from the second half of the season would be more of the generals.
But can I just say this is what the show was missing? These four characters. I didn't know that we needed like another version of Ozai's Angels, but we
Me
did.
too. Me
They
too.
were perfect.
Oh, I mean, I
Me-
think we knew generally that this is what we were like. Yeah, the show needs more female
But-
characters. Like, I guess not specifically like fun
Yeah.
villains, right? That's the
Yeah. We needed more women, but we didn't. I didn't know it was this specific formula is what worked every time. I didn't know that.
But I don't believe though Lothar though. Maybe he believes what he says, his convictions, his ideology. But I do think though, when push comes to shove, when his back against the wall, he is his father's son. I feel deep down, and he's probably selling these generals a bill of goods. Maybe that's truthful in his head, but when push comes to shove, when things don't go his way, we see a different side of him. He's not as idealist as he thinks he is.
yeah. It's an interesting point. Like, what's Lotor's true motivations here?
Yeah, Lothar. I said he's pretty much. You wanted Zhao, but I think what we got here was pretty much a perfect fusion of Zuko and Azula, a combination of them. I think he's got kind of Zuko's sort of rebellious side, his being vanished and all, but he's got kind of Azula's little methods,
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think his structure within the show as a character is Azula. I think that's the closest parallel here. You could make personality comps wherever, but down to the Mei Tai Li to son daughter of the big bad to function as like the villain, but maybe a more sympathetic presence. It's kind of all there. Any read on Lothar, like when it comes down to it, like is he loyal to Galra? Is he loyal to his father? Is he loyal to himself, Andy?
He's loyal to himself. He has a plan, and I don't think it includes any of the plans that anyone else in the Empire has. He's planning something, and Hagar and Zarkon's whatever they're doing in that chamber does not factor in.
Yeah, I think he's planning a coup. And what would be interesting here to see, maybe, like, call me crazy, this could happen, is Lothar and our heroes have a temporary alliance to take down Zoltron, make a pact that we'll take him down, and then afterwards we can fight. And that could happen. Though I do wonder, though, if which is better, though? Would you rather have Zolkon in charge or Lothar in charge if you're the Palatins? Which would be a better system? Because, Zarkon is like one-dimensional evil. You can easily get people behind you. But Lothar, he's so charismatic. It'd be, he can get like a bunch of like normal like planets to trust him.
Yeah. So I think at this point in the show, Lothar is more of a threat to me if I'm a paladin. I think he's probably going to, like, you defeated Zarkon once already. Lothar, I think, with this comet is kind of a major threat to you and the universe. Yes, maybe you can team up with him. Like, he's not, unilaterally opposed to you like Zarkon. But ultimately, I think he's the bigger threat at this point.
Yeah, there could be an episode kind of like in the vein of the Blue Spirit where like they team up unintentionally almost, but I don't think there's going to be a long-term allyship between them in any way. There's some stuff going on, like even just Allura being a paladin makes it really hard to see them team up in any permanent way.
Oh, I want to see like have our paladins and Lothtar's team like have like a conference, try to have like some sort of like try to negotiate a little like an alliance. That'd be kind of fun to watch. Probably see them all at each other's throats and stuff. That would be fun to watch, and it could turn and probably end in betrayal at the very end. But that would be an interesting episode.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the interesting thing with Lothar is how he's going to react with Zarkon alive again. He's probably going to be revoked from ruling the Galran Empire, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where this will be like an instant test of where his motivations are. If he's just like instantly banished again, maybe he'd work with the Paladins, like if he's just really opposed to Zarkon. But my read on him is currently that he's just not good overall, whether that means aligning with Zarkon or acting on his own selfish ambitions. I think he's serving of the Galrins, and potentially that's because that's what's best for his self-interest, but I don't know. I don't see any sort of Lotor redemption anytime soon.
No, I could see a redemption of some kind of Zarkon comes back and he fails at his coup, and then he turns to the rebellion because he sees that as the best way to grab for power. But other than that, I really he's a bad guy.
That's I think that's within his realm of motivations, is trying to find somewhere else other than the Galrins that like he might be able to lead. But I think that it would be for nefarious purposes ultimately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do we think about or let's talk the Origins episode. There's obviously a lot here. One random thing I want to talk about is, before we get into this, Kova, the cat, I think is the name, is the cat from the Origins episode, the cat that, the Lotor's generals have?
Yes.
Steve?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. Bunch of cats there. How would they get that though? I don't know. Maybe I don't really care. Whatever.
What? Come on.
I don't know. I never thought of it so
the
far.
Most important character in the show, the cat.
They wouldn't show us that camera shot of the cat if it wasn't the same one. If it wasn't supposed to be important.
Yeah.
It has to be the same cat.
You think it could be the same cat? All right. I just don't know how they got it. I mean, did Lothar steal it? Steal it from Hagar,
either
when she wasn't looking.
Either that, or it's either that or the cat's owner, because I don't remember their names anymore. Is
maybe Hagar gave it to him.
So I think Hagar's memories are wiped at the point where they wake up. So I don't think she would just even remember the cat. So I think the cat just probably wandered off in the ship, and someone picked it up, or that character who owns the cat is meant to be someone from the origin story, like somehow either like a daughter or like maybe someone else who's immortal or something. So
this is the problem when you introduce immortality into a show like this. Like, you have no clue how old anybody is and what events they could be affecting.
You can't rule out anyone from 1,000 years ago being someone now. Yeah.
Like, we don't know how old Lotor is even. Like, if he's actually the son of Zarkon, and I think a lot of us are.
Yeah, let's talk about that now. Because you brought that up. So,
okay.
Is Lotor the son of Zarkon and Hagar, aka Onerva?
I'm pretty sure he is, and if he is, that raises some questions with how old he is and whether he has some form of lengthened lifespan as well.
Steve, what do you think on that?
Yeah, I'm almost positive that they are. I just have only one way they can't be, either that or Lotar's adopted. I just don't find it hard. I just don't think Zarkon fathered Lotar with another woman after seeing episode 7. Either Hagar's his mom, or he's just adopted, and he's not blood related to any of them.
Zarkon seemed too in love with Onerva. I agree.
But I could be misremembering. Didn't they mention there were multiple princes, or was that a different line that I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
I'd have to go back and watch the first episode.
Andy brings up the logistical problem with Lotor being Zarkon Hagar's son, which is that presumably the events of The Legend Begins were a long time ago, too long for a natural lifespan to have and him be that young. It makes no sense, basically, because they don't even know that they're husband and wife in present. Zarkon and Hagar. So even if you discount for the fact that this was probably over a lifespan ago, the events of The Legend Begins, it doesn't make sense for him to be their son. You'd have to be their son from before they got evil turned by quintessence.
Unless Hagar did some DNA experiments, maybe.
Right, but
I could see that. I could see her doing experiments like that, but I think that there was very purposefully left out a lot of the personal time that Zarkon and is it Onerva? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Onerva. They purposely only showed us shots of them doing research. We never really saw their home life. So I don't think it can be ruled out that they didn't have a kid.
Speaking of purposely stuff, in episode 5, Hagar and Lotar have this conversation, and they purposely made sure that Lotar never addressed Hagar. He never said, Hagar call Hagar by her name or call her mom or anything.
Never said mom because it would have been a giveaway. Yeah,
I know, but he didn't also say like Hagar.
Oh, because he would have said Onerva. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. He didn't say anything. Yeah. He just he purposely did not address her by anything. Hagar's the only one who addressed him by his name. So
yeah, I agree. That was and you could call that misleading or unrealistic, but it also makes sense though because Hagar doesn't know who she is, so that would potentially make sense. So if the problem is that Lotor needs to be really old, but he doesn't seem to have quintessence poisoning like Zarkon and Onerva. Do you agree with that, Andy? That he's not quintessence poisoned?
Yeah, because just the way that Hagar and Zarkon move, like, if you know what I mean, the way they're animated always seems to be a little more, their figures seem to be dense and powerful the way they stride about. But Lotor moves around with like a grace and a carefulness whenever he's doing stuff. He's very powerful in like when he pilots his ship, but he doesn't have this kind of aura about him of being very powerful. And I think that's on purpose. I don't think he has this quintessence that they do.
What do you think of that, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. He seems, in a way, too normal, believe it or not. He's like a normal villain. He's not like Zarkon type of just completely insane to have intent. What's that name again? I'm sorry, I'm tongue tied here. To have that stuff in him. Yeah, I agree with Andy. I do think though, Loktar though, he's definitely half a tan. I really believe that. That's the way it was in the old show as well. I think though, in a way, I think though he kind of he is like an outcast because he is half Galra, and that's why he able to get all these other half breeds onto his side. And yeah. I do think perhaps down the line he might try to recruit Keith to his side to be one of us.
Yeah. We could with him being
half Galra.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make the case though. Like both Keith and Shiro, if Shiro was our Shiro, can both be recruited by Zarkon and Loktar respectively because we have something in common. Loktar and Keith do because they're half like Galra, and and Zarkon and Shiro because they were both dumped by the Black Line.
Yeah. So maybe that's some foundations for the Shiro Keith shipping. That's what Steve's saying.
No. I said Zarkon and Shiro. They're both dumped by the Black Line. The Black Line dumped them both.
Yeah. I definitely think Lotar's Halfaltan. So I just don't. There's a disparity here. I don't know how to rectify it. I don't know. Just mean Lotar is immortal? Maybe because Onerva was experimenting with quintessence that when she got pregnant, that like made its way into the baby's DNA, and Lotar's just like has the benefits of quintessence poisoning without the bad parts of it. Yeah, so I think that's possible. I do think we'll get an explanation on that. Pretty
yeah,
soon.
And that's the big point, Dylan. In past seasons, we were given these questions that we had no clue if we were going to be answered. Now it feels like we're going to actually get answers, and I'm just excited. Like if this was like season 2, some of these questions were posed, I just feel like really annoyed. Like, is any of this going to be explained? But now it feels like we're actually going to get explanations for everyone's actions, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I generally agree. The only hesitation I have is this is just one episode where we've ever gotten an explanation for anything here, with The Legend Begins. So,
and we still don't have an explanation for quintessence.
Yeah, but that's, I don't know if we'll ever get that, but
it's magic.
I wouldn't expect another backstory episode to explain everything, all the new questions so soon. I'm waiting for the show to show me that this is a new state of being and actually explaining itself. So we'll see on that.
I'm being optimistic.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay, one thing I want to get to make sure we get to is the shipping. So,
I already mentioned my ship.
Yes, let's talk clans to start. So, a lot of people are hype about the level of clans in this season, Keith and Lance. AKA whatever the Delaney's new name is, AKA George. But Andy, do you think this is the biggest Clance season and why?
I think it is, not because of the amount of it, like the time you could see on screen, but because just look at all the other relations between the Paladins. We don't really get to see, the only other really relationship we see between Paladins is Hulk and Pidge. We get a lot of scenes dedicated to just Lance and Keith talking, but we don't really get that for any other pairings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very specifically done, and it's very indicative of the fact that they're very close now. And whether it's just a friendship or something more, it's very much there. It's very much they share a lot of stuff with each other. I think that's becoming very clear. And that leads to a lot more things. And I hope if we touch on possible relationship, it's done well. And I think they will, but who knows?
We do see an Allura Lance scene. We have another Keith Allura
but
scene.
Those are like short things. Those are like sprinkled through every single episode with Voltron with the Paladins. We get a scene with them talking.
I don't know. I wasn't overwhelmed by the amount of them talking, you know?
And I wasn't either. I'm just saying compared to the other ones.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think in general we saw a lot less of people talking. What do you think, Steve, of Clans this season?
Oh, I agree. I agree. Definitely more development this season. We see Keith and Lance, their relationship is not played for laughs anymore. They actually have serious moments. And also, maybe that's overall Lance. It's not just played for laughs anymore, because I felt in the past he's just there to be the funny guy. You're not supposed to take him seriously, but I think he's developing into a character that we're supposed to take as serious as the others.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like comparison to like Bolin in the later books of Korra. Like, remember in the beginning, he was just supposed to be the funny guy. And later, as the series went on, you know, his development was he's a guy you're supposed to take him as seriously as you would anybody else. And I see the same thing with Lance, and as for his relation with Keith, who knows? Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah. So I think as always, talking about shipping on the show, it's worth noting that it's worth noting. Like, I think this is a mandatory point to bring up if you're talking about canon ships, which is that the show has literally done zero romance ever.
Yeah.
And I don't exaggerate there. I think the most romance we've ever gotten was in the flashback episode with Zarkon and Onerva, and that was just Zarkon being kind of awkward in one scene. I think that's like the biggest romance thing that's ever happened on the show.
We also had a little bit with Allura's parents in that flashback.
Yeah, we saw them together with a baby. Yeah, that was...
Yeah.
So Zarkon is like the one who gets the most love.
Yeah, Zarkon's the biggest romantic in the series. Yeah, that's
romantic. Oh man, he's the player. I don't believe it.
Yeah, he's the only one. So, you know, it'd be great to do any shipping thing, but I think all shipping discussions must be taken with a grain of salt, because the show, to this point, has expressed no interest in doing romance.
But I think that's purposeful. I like, if I'm honest with myself, I don't think there's gonna be any shipping at all, and I think that is going back to Avatar and Korra, because a lot of the reviews for that show, besides Korrasami, like most of the relation, and even a lot of people are mad about Korrasami, which is crazy to me, but a lot of the relationship stuff usually was the stuff that people liked the least in terms of critical level.
Yeah, there's certainly been, you know, all the Mako and Korra stuff. Even Katara and Aang has its share of critics. I think that the show is probably making a mistake in not doing this, because I think that the show like doesn't have a lot of heart that other things have. So yeah. I think that it would provide an element of joy and audience connection to the show that is missing, and I think this is potentially one big reason why and it's more of a broader problem in not me feeling not connected to a lot of these characters. So I think it's more of a characterization thing, but yeah. So let's go rapid fire through as we wrap up here through some other topics. So lightning round. Steve, what, or either of you, I don't know if Steve had anything specific to say. Lotor ships, anything?
Lotor ships? Not really, because, I don't know, I don't see him with any of the generals. The only ship I have with Lotar is Keith.
Lotor Keith? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. But no Lotar or Lore, please, because I saw some of that in the old show, and it was so disturbing, and it was so annoying too, because that was his whole character. I love Allure. I must have Allure. She is mine. Yeah. And it just got old, and it was annoying.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that. So I don't know. I wouldn't worry. And you mentioned, Steve, you liked the Ty Lee one and the leader one as a ship.
Yeah. Like I said, they are the like female, the Gora version of clans, and also I love the opposite of like the different opposites. Like, and I don't want to. I didn't want to bring the series up, but they are like Akko and Diana to me in terms of I love those type of relationships. Like same thing with Korra and Asami. I love like two people that are just different but similar enough. They have a combination of differences but similarities. And I feel that's the way a relationship works because opposites attracts is such a myth. If you compare Korra with Mako and Korra with Asami.
Yeah, I think these are bold statements to be making, Steven. We've seen like 5 minutes of these characters, but these generals. But I like the initiative here. Anything on this, Andy?
I actually, this is one of the only characters in the show I hope we don't get to see any romance for, because I like the idea of this character just being all for just his own agenda, and I really don't want to muddle that up with other things right now, because he's very compelling as he is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's worth noting that Keith and Allura remains one of the more character-to-character interactions that the show seems more interested in presenting to us. We had another scene in these 7 episodes.
Yeah,
I hope they don't have a relationship thing, because I really don't feel anything between them at all.
No. I agree with you, Andy, though, about Lothar to no romance, because it kind of would make him a little more sympathetic, and I don't want Lothar to be sympathetic. I want him to be a villain, a straight up villain that I have some sympathy, but not too much. I don't want like any like redeeming qualities about him. I like him the way he is.
I think his charisma is a redeeming quality, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think all of us kind of hate Keith and Allura, but it's definitely, and I think it's probably my most hated perspective ship on like all of TV right now. So that's kind of, I feel very strongly about it, but
wow.
I think it's, the show does seem interested in continuing the show, so it's worth bringing up. I'm
fine with having them interact, because they do have two very different viewpoints.
Yeah, it's like the scenes we've seen between them, but okay, continuing rapid fire. Andy, quickly, what were your lion thoughts that you wanted to bring up?
Oh, just that there is some more information on the lions that we need to be told, because the lions are acting in ways that doesn't really make sense. They're very, I think Justin's one that called them toxic. They are kind of pushing the paladins to their limits in ways that doesn't seem healthy. And they're also just, how do they work? It really wasn't explained in beginnings in any kind of sasatisfying way.
They evolved.
They built
they have consciousnesses somehow, and they evolved. Yeah.
But then if they're conscious, why do they need paladins? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, Justin said the Lions' relationship to the paladins is toxic. I love that. I agree. The paladins are pushed around by these lions. I guess they get to pilot them in return, which is pretty cool. But yeah.
But it's jokey. But it is kind of true. It is kind of true. They do make them kind of break.
Yeah. I think that's probably we're assigning more anthropomorphization to the lions than isn't actually there. At the same time, their origins make no sense. So
yeah.
Quickly, Dark Voltron. This prospect of Lothar taking the comet, which is what Voltron was made up of, making his own version of Voltron. Steve, buying or selling this?
Buying it. I thought all along when these 4 generals were introduced that they're the counterparts of our paladins. So you wouldn't specifically have Lothar and specifically 4 others if they weren't going to do something there. So
yeah,
if Lothar just had like 2 like generals or 3 generals, then maybe. But he had to have 4.
Specifically 4 generals. Andy, buying or selling Dark Voltron?
That's actually the reason why I'm buying it. Like, there's somehow conveniently exactly 5 people. What else is 5 people? Yeah, that's really. But and like the fact that he's building stuff out of the comet kind of explicitly. Yeah, there's going to be some kind of Dark Voltron coming up.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest evidence. There's 5 of them. Dark Voltron made out of the same material as the comet. And also, I don't think that Shiro's ship is it, or Shiro's eventual ship. The Lothar new ship is it, because I think that we're going to reveal like what he made from the comet later. I think that wasn't the big reveal. So
I think that might just be one of the quote unquote lions of Dark Voltron.
It could be, yeah. Or it could just be an auxiliary 6th thing. I think both are in play.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve.
I kind of wonder though. I just hope though Zarkon does not defeat Lothar too easily, because I feel so disappointed. I know while Zarkon probably has to be the big bad, even though Lotar's more charismatic, I've seen other series when, the more powerful villain has to be the final boss, while his underling is more charismatic, will be more interesting final boss, and it still never happened. So,
yeah, I agree. Let's not revert to Zarkon as the villain here. Lotor's more interesting.
Yeah.
We talked about Allura being as a paladin this season is one of the highlights. I'd love to see that more from next season. That was definitely a highlight of episodes like 2 and 3 is Allura functioning as a paladin. Last, Andy, all these Avatar parallels we've talked about them includes the comet. We got the Elizula comparisons. Were you digging it?
I was digging it, and we haven't mentioned it yet, but the thing I felt the most was just the general fluidity of like the fights we got were a lot higher standard and a lot more fun. Like the fight between all the paladins and Lotor's generals was one of the most genuinely fun fight scenes I've watched in a long time, with all the people teaming up and like interrupting each other's fights. It felt very Avatar to me.
Oh, I tell you though, if we ever go to another universe, maybe we have another dimension, Lotar's female, and maybe we get Grey Delisle Griffin to voice her.
You want gender bent Lotor by Grey Delisle? I like that.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Let's do that. I mean, I agree. The fight scene in Tailing a Comet was good. Yeah, I guess now that you bring it up, it reminds me of like a late era Korra fight scene, the one from that season 3 episode of them in Zaofu. That type of thing. I still think the season 1 episode 3 fight scene is still the best the show has had, but it's
I think that's just a difference. Like, I really like the down on the ground fight scenes a lot more than you do. I think you seem to, but
I'm more into anything infused with story, so I definitely appreciated the tailing a comet fight. But it did stand out to me there weren't any large scale fight scenes. Maybe that was our most one. There wasn't like epic Voltron fights or anything like that. So
there was just Keith dodging the one laser, and that's it.
So I think we'll be getting a big mecha fight pretty soon, I assume, in the next section.
Which will be exciting.
Yeah. Final thoughts here on season 3 or anything we talked about today, Andy?
Just that. I really am happy with this, that they are improving the quality. I was kind of worried in season 2 that they were either out of ideas or just weren't sure where to go with the show, but this really made me feel confident about where they're going, as long as Lotor stays around, because he's really cool and I like him a lot.
Is Lotor your favorite character?
I think so, because he actually has probably the most characterization, even though we've only seen very little of him. Like, the characterization for the other paladins is honestly not that interesting sometimes, except when they explicitly make an episode about them.
Yeah. Steve, final thoughts on this season?
Yeah, this season really stepped up its game. I never thought I would love Lotar so much, because the original Lotar, he was like my least favorite character, and now he's like one of my favorites. Though the part that I like the best though is the 4 generals. Those are the characters that I'm most excited about, maybe, even though they're not as important as Lotar. I especially want to see like perhaps the big one, what she might do, because she's been kind of held back, and I feel though she's the one who might be like least likely to be redeemed of the 4 of them, because she's so destructive.
Yeah, the fighty one. Yeah.
No, I disagree. The one that's least likely to be redeemed is the one with the cat. That one is shady.
You mean
there's something going on with him?
Oh, you think? Oh, wait a minute. She might be a spy for Zarkon or Hagar, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, and she has Hagar's cat. Now it makes sense.
She's a Hagar spy because she's the cat. Okay, maybe.
I like that Steve wasn't even sure if it was the same cat, and I was like, no, it is. It is, guys.
Some retconning on Steve's opinions here, yeah. Yes, there you go. Let us know what you thought on anything we discussed today. Not too long until we have to pay off all these theory discussions, I would say. Just October, maybe we'll get answers on Shiro, maybe we'll get answers on stuff like Lotor, so.
Oh, maybe we might get an episode at NYCC week before, like they did last year.
I think it's very likely they'll show episode 8 at NYCC. Yeah.
Oh, I saw the episode to of season 2 last year was so much fun. I mean, hopefully again, maybe.
Yeah, Steve just wants episode early and then to like snicker.
You want me to report what happens to you?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Steve will be our reporter from there. Yeah, so we'll see. That'll be the next thing, and then October we'll have the rest of season 3 / what they're branding as season 4 dropping on Netflix. So stay with Overly Animated for all of your Voltron coverage. Make sure you subscribe to us wherever you're listening. And consider supporting us at Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our patrons, especially our patron of the podcast. Ooh, Andy, aka Buzz Lightyear, he's here. Woo-hoo! And thanks to our patron exec producers, John Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. We a bunch of great stuff in Overly Animated coming up, including continued Rick and Morty coverage and another Netflix show. We're eventually going to ramp up to BoJack.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that,
two
Dylan.
Netflix shows. So all that coming at overlyanimated.com. Thank you guys very much for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.